Okay.
Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Gruder Construction blog in this old house we're building here, remodeling. And so what we're doing today is we have the deputy inspector. He's like a notary republic. He comes to the job. He's not associated with me, the builder. He's not associated with the homeowner or the engineer. He's a private person, and he observes. He has a license to observe our work that we do. And what we've done is we need to put rebar, steel, into the existing foundation and epoxy it in place with a very strong epoxy. So he comes to observe what we're doing here. And Vincent, tell him what you're doing.
Okay, so some of the things that he needs to see to make sure that the epoxy is actually going to grab the concrete is after we drill the holes, we have to use a brush and a little bit of compressed air to blow all that dust out. Can you hand me that epoxy pad right there? And the plans call for a specific type of epoxy, and what they call for on this specific plan is Set 3G by Simpson. They do a lot of structural stuff, so we're using their epoxy. And like I said, we had to use that brush there on the drill. Can you hand me that, Pat? Thanks.
Oh, that's clever. I've never seen anybody do it that way. Usually we
get
do
these
it by hand.
Bristle brushes, and we cut the circle off the end. We stick it in the chuck of the drill, go down like that in there, back and forth, back and forth.
Wow.
To agitate the dust and break it off the walls of the concrete, and then we blow it out with compressed air. And he needs to see that we did that to prove that what we're doing is going to be structurally sound, so that the rebar doesn't pull out of it.
Good
and
deal.
then now he's watching us put the epoxy in, and this is our
Deputy Inspector Brian here.
I also inspect this per plan detail 14 and 17 page S3.1 of Pasadena approved plan. And I also inspect the date, so it's 2027. Make sure that the contractor not using expired material. So
I got lucky and bought the right stuff.
Yeah, that's 2010 right there, the good date. So everything good to go.
Luckily, we buy from Ganal, and Ganal has a good turnover rate of their material.
Yeah,
so
the products,
we're not buying from a hole in the
exactly.
wall where it sits on the shelf for 8 years. But
So Brian is going to put a report for us together, a page that we have to have on hand when the city building department inspector comes. We show that inspector that Brian has done his job, and we have an independent inspector that has looked at this epoxy. And Brian will put on his report the building number, our permit number, and he looks at the plans, what's to happen. And we save Brian a little time. We have all that on the table. We have all our documentation on the table for him to look at. We even open the plans and show him where, because plans are extensive. Even though Brian knows how to read plans, most of everybody in construction knows how to read plans, but nobody wants to flog through maybe 50 sheets to get to that right page. Even if you have a content on the first page, it's better to have somebody say, here's this page, because he's got other people to go look at today, and he's probably chomping at the bit to get away from me right now.
No, actually I had 4 jobs today. You were the last one.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, you've been out early.
Yes, it started 6 o'clock in the morning, and I've been doing a lot of jobs here in Pasadena, including NASA, TPO, and Caltech University here on California.
And as for other things besides epoxy and the foundations, you probably have to look at steel. What type of things do you cover?
Nailing for the shear wall,
Okay.
and sometimes I do the we call foundation repair, where some house sink on it.
Oh, yeah.
And we call a pier, push pier or helical pier. They jack it up, and then they install the pier down like 10 feet down below, and then anchor it to the side of the foundation of the house.
All kinds of things that go into engineering.
Yes.
Well, Brian, thank you for coming out this morning.
You're welcome.
So where we're at on the follow-up of our kitchen and bath remodel on this 1911 house in Pasadena is every contractor doesn't like to be in this situation, but some things you can't control, and we're about 3 weeks behind on the job right now. It's not because of mistakes, it is because of unexpected situations. The remodel that we're doing requires bracing in the walls, beams, and we have to beef up the foundation for that. So when the architect was putting together the plans and presenting those plans to the engineer, they were well aware that previously, in years past, this house foundation was retrofit. And so they had the plans and they designed it accordingly. what happened, and it's not something that happened, we just discovered that once we took up the floor and we started to do the work on the foundations, is that the contractor that did the foundation work, he did it per code, but he did it different than what was on the plans. So we had to have our engineer come out, and Garrett, the engineer, nice guy, he works with us really amicably, and we showed him what the situation was. We expressed our ideas of how we thought we should do it. We came up with some ideas that he agreed with, and he had to go back to his office, do his mathematical equations, make sure it was going to be good for the house, because California has a lot of shear value rules in construction, and then he represented those to us so that we could keep going. This happened 3 different times on the foundation. The more we tore up, and we found different stuff. So we're on our 3rd rendition, and we're getting it put together now, and we're at the point where we just had an inspector here today to look at the epoxy, that we're putting epoxy into the old foundation to tie it to the new foundation, and we're moving forward. So we're very happy, we're making some headway, and that was our first inspection. It was not a city inspection, but it was a deputy inspection, an independent inspection. So my son Vincent and Pat, one of our carpenters, is here getting these foundations all tied together, and our deputy inspector, he's about ready to leave. He's taking a look at what we did, and we're just moving forward. And you can see we have this hollow cavern here. We're dying to get the framing, the woodwork, the beams and posts all put together so that we can start doing our plumbing and electrical. And also we had one other thing that we discovered, comes to my mind, and this is really a change order, but the house became plugged up while we were working here, and so it couldn't be rotor-rootered, because in the past the homeowner had a plastic sleeve put inside part of the drain, and our plumber came out to get rid of that, but he couldn't use a rotor-rooter. He had to use a jet because of the plastic lining that's inside the old clay pipes. And the owner has decided that it'd be a good idea. That plastic was only put from the street to the middle of the yard. Now he wants it put from where it is in the yard back into the house. So we're going to take out some of the old drains and put in the new plastic that's required and get that done. But these are things you discover along the way during a construction job. So we take care of it. We work with the client, their needs and wishes, and that's what we do at Reuter Construction. Anything else, Vincent?
Nope, we're just going to be putting some epoxy and rebar in these guys here.
Well, these guys want me out of the way, and so they can get their work done. And thank you for taking another look at Reuter Construction Blog. Have a good one.